that was the time I needed to actually start studying, because again, I forgot how to study. Sometimes we spend a lot of time on, Instagram or TikTok, helping, my wife with the baby. I have to set up my time. My 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. wasn't working for me. The 2 hours a day, I was too exhausted, too tired, exhausted at the end of the day. So I decided to. So she was having ear infections at the beginning a lot of times, and she was waking up a lot of time at the beginning. So that were the times, like, again, I said that, like, this year, oh my god, this cannot be happening again, right? And then I was like, because she was waking up every day, Kenza, like every day.
I totally get this. It's funny. I have a similar schedule as this. Now, I want to ask you this. What drives you? What makes you wake up every single day at 4 a.m. and study and do all this stuff?
So, like, people don't realize how many concepts and how many the FE has a lot of concepts. The FE, but when I was in the FE, I was like, what is this? Flat this question. What is this? Flat. I was well prepared, so because of your material, so I didn't find the test hard, because I think you pretty much touch every single thing. You know every single concept. I will say.
Ron, so you graduated in 2018. When was the first time you took the FE exam?
It was right before I graduated. So I graduated on July. I think I took it on May or something. I took it, but I didn't study for it. So I just went right on to do it. I thought it was gonna be easy because pretty much my friend told me, "Oh, it's easy. Just you can pass it or something." And I figure like I did good on most of the second section. But the first one, that like math, I would say more about dynamics and statics, things, probabilities, things that you took like at the beginning of college that you forget about. I did like pretty bad, so that got me. So and then that was the first time I took it, and then I tried the following year, but only studied like 2 3 months or something, reading a book or something, like, and that was like I felt, I was like, what is happening? Like, is that too hard? I mean, I feel like it shouldn't be too hard. At the end, I have to study for this, and then that's where I in YouTube I found you. I remember this specifically because before my second try, I saw one of your videos talking about the pressure on the pipes. Like, if you have the, atmospheric pressure, you got zero, and then when you go down, you said something about, think about the deeper you go, the more pressure you have, and then going up. That got stick into my head, and I have multiple questions like that in the FE at that time. I did it like easily because the book didn't show you the way. The book show you the solution, but they say something like go to the equation whatever and use the equation, but they don't tell you how to use the equation. When I went and took the exam, I was like, well, what the heck? Then I don't know if you remember, but during pandemic, I think I sent you a message by Facebook, and you called me like probably like within 2 hours or something, and we were talking about you were explaining the view material, like what you have, like the static course, that was the one you have at that time, and then you said you were gonna do the morning thing, the morning section, and then at that time I bought the static, and then you released the morning, and then I got the morning, and I didn't study at that time right away because we bought a home in 2020. Then 2020, I was doing some fixing the house and whatever. 2021, at the end of the year, I started studying statics. And in 2022, I was doing the morning session, and I bought the afternoon in 2022. But baby, we got the baby. My wife was pregnant and everything, and then I couldn't finish in 2022. Then I stopped, and then I jumped. I waited until like last year to actually study for my FE. So it was 2023 until now, like until this was my third an attempt to take the test, then I passed it. I was well prepared, so because of your material, so it was I didn't find the test hard because I think you pretty much touch every single thing every single concept you I will say. But I mean, and I took it, and then it was it was it was a great, like I knew I was gonna pass when I took it because I told my wife I felt like when you took the, when you take when you're taking a final exam for one of your classes and you leave the room and you pass the class. That's how I felt. And so and I got the result. I was like, oh shoot. So I was right.
That's awesome. Okay. Let's go back here. So you had so many events at the time that didn't really allow you to study, right? And so you kept postponing and stuff. Were you aware of it and you were like, it's okay, I can keep postponing this later when I have more time, then I can focus on it? Or were you frustrated during the time as you're trying to get this done and then life hits you and you're like, ah, not again? And then, you know what I mean? Like, what was your reaction during those moments?
So I was hoping to to take the exam in 2022
Okay.
and then study for the P right away. I was on the track on doing that. Um, on December of 2022, it was very busy because my wife, we have to go to the hospital a few times, because, she was swollen or her foot and everything, so she couldn't, she wasn't bad, but they have to keep an eye on her because of the diabetes or something. Um, not because she had a diabetes, because of the baby, to make
Yeah.
sure the baby, how the process,
Yeah.
they take you blood or whatever. So, so that month, I think I was studying well until like, we have to go back and forth, and there's a lot of stuff happening at work too. I have more, they give you more projects to work on. I wasn't the helper as we used to be in the first years. Oh, you have some markups. They give you, hey, now you have to do this grading plan, do this, and this. We have deadline next whatever, next month, Friday. So you have to get it done. So what was happening is in in that December, I was right on track, even with work and everything. So we have to repair our roof. We got a leak in the house. That was December. We have to deal with, my wife going back and forth to the hospital. Not every day, but to the follow-ups appointment is like every 2 weeks, and then every week. And then on January, when I was gonna study, in the morning, I found out that the basement was flooded. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like the whole thing was like full of water. It's like, what is going on here? Um, of course, I couldn't study because I have to call the plumber. They have to fix everything, and that was like a month or two that I got distracted from calling the insurance to figure out the claim, trying to call this contractor, this guy to fix this, and this, and then the baby, and then that was like before I knew it was like July. I was like, what the heck? And I was helping my wife because she couldn't do anything the first 2, 3 months because so during the labor the baby got stuck, and the baby was literally was with her face, the top of her face out like for like an hour or something. And then when she got out, her face was like darker, and they have to pull her from her shoulder. So they have a shoulder. I forget the term. So anyway, they have to pull her shoulder back in place, and then we have to stay longer in the hospital because the baby was overweight and she got diabetes at the beginning. So it was a whole process.
Wow.
And because she was in there for so long, too many, for so long, she actually was drinking blood. So her bilirubin, I think it was too high. So she has to be under the UV, and everything for hours. So it was told my wife it was a little frustrating. That's why we want to wait for the next baby because it was too much for the first one. Um, so again, like before I knew it was July, and I was like, what the heck? We went to Colombia on because I'm from Colombia. We went to Colombia on October 2023. We stayed there for like 2 weeks, and my mother-in-law came to help us, to help us with the baby. That's when I started studying for again
Mm.
because she was helping with the baby because we want to wait until she was 1 so we can put it on daycare. So she was helping out with the baby, cooking and everything. So pretty much that was the time. That was the time I needed to actually start studying because again, I forgot how to study because I waited 1 year to go back. So it was hard. Even though I finished the morning session, it was hard for me to because I forgot everything.
Yeah.
I forgot everything after a year. You forget,
Yeah.
and then pretty much I studied everything again, and it took me about a year or something to actually study the whole thing. Finding the right time because she was here for like probably like 5 months or something. Um, and I was studying well, but again, when you have people visiting you, you don't want to be in the room the whole time. So I was studying here and there. When she left, and I was helping my wife with the baby, I have to set up my time. My 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. wasn't working for me. The 2 hours a
Mm.
day, I was too exhausted, too tired, exhausted at the end of the day. So I decided to do 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Ooh.
It was tough, but I was like, I need to do that because if I don't do this, it's gonna be like, oh, it's 6. Oh, I'm tired. You know what? I'll do it tomorrow. And then that happened for like 2 weeks. I was like, this can't be happening. Like, like. And then I was doing 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. The first week was tough because you have to get used to it. Then I got used to it, and I was like, I was telling them, this is great because actually I'll get done with this before going to work, and you have to work longer. Then I don't mind. I can just work 1, 2 hours after that, after 5 p.m. So it worked for me. So it's hard. It's just dedication. You just have to you have to know your goals. And then that's the time. That was the only time I had, the only free time I had, and because at 6 a.m. I have to, my wife at 6 a.m. was cooking, and I was getting the baby ready for daycare. So we have tasks that we have to, like every single, relationship. We have to help each other, and that's it worked. So I'm glad it works, and if that works for me, it's gonna work for everyone, I guess.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was not meant to be for you to pass the FE exam in 2022. Like the
No, no.
events that has happened to you was just like, no way. Like just give it up and try again like another year. But no, you that was a really rough year, I'm sure, for the whole family. I can't even imagine. With the whole pregnancy, like you said, the appointment they get closer and closer, and then the timing and the weights and the all that stuff, the driving to the appointment, plus everything that was happening, plus the labor, plus the first. couple months after you get the baby. I was talking to my husband the other day because I think I mentioned this couple times now in our videos. We also had a baby. She's 14 months now. And we were walking and talking about like the first time, when she was just still newborn, and how we were just like in survival mode, but at the same time, making sure that she was just survive. Like, so everybody was just trying to survive the
Yeah.
first couple months, really. So it's really rough. Like I can't even imagine, and I can't imagine what your wife had to go through during labor. That sounds like a very traumatic experience, and I'm sorry you guys had to go through that. But it's pretty amazing and fascinating how later you still didn't give up and you still persisted and kept going. I do want to say this schedule is pretty intense. I think, and I'm sure I can speak about a lot of people. Not a lot of people can do that. Wake up at 4 a.m., study for 2 hours. I want to ask you first, what time did you go to bed? Just to see like how many hours did you get every day? And
So
then, yeah, go ahead.
it depends. I used to be around 10 p.m. when I was waking up at 4, but sometimes so it took maybe like 2 months to get settled because what was happening was my wife was coming or I was getting the baby or my wife from daycare. So my wife was doing the like night routine, bathing the baby, giving a bottle or food or whatever, and then put her on sleep. Um, and then I was doing the other stuff, like, trying to make sure the kitchen is clean, things like that. So we are on bed at 9. But sometimes things happens like, and then probably I went to sleep at 11 or something.
Mm,
Um, 11. So what I can tell people, like, if you can't sleep at least 5 hours, if you sleep 5 hours, if you're working, I work from home.
okay.
Take advantage to take a nap after
Mm,
your lunchtime. Maybe 20 minutes is enough. It's gonna help you because then at night you can't work properly the remaining time, and then you're gonna feel sleepy earlier, of course, because you only slept five
yeah.
hours. But that's what I will say though. If you have the time, then do it. I work from home. I only have to go to the office a few times a month.
Mm,
So, but that's listen. I was sleepy sometimes, and I was like, just get coffee, and then I was drinking coffee in the morning, and
mm,
that's it. And then it wakes you up a little bit, and I have it, and I have it here in front of me. Never give up, like a frame, and that's every time I go to sit down in my office, I see that never give up. Okay, never, 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 because everyone is different. Everyone have its own life and its own issues, its own problems and everything, and also it's funny, right? But sometimes we spend a lot of time on Instagram or TikTok. I will say something. My time when I know I needed more time for like problems or like to know the concepts, I was listening to your lectures when for instance, I was in the bathroom or I was doing whatever, just because it's gonna stick to your head. Sometimes we
mm,
go there and watch like a series or something while we do something like even when you're cooking, right? Start watching something. I was watching you lecture like it's probably the last it was like 2 months ago because I was confused about the parabola, the foci and the other stuff. I was so
mm.
confused about it. At the beginning, I thought the hyperbola. Is it hyperbola or I forget the
Yeah,
name?
hyperbola.
Hyperbola and parabola. I thought that was the same equation for the C or something,
Mm,
but it was a plus or a minus in between. The sign
yeah.
was different. And then that stick to my head. That stick to my head. I was watching, your lecture all over and over. Just that section, just that, those videos that stick to me. And when I was cooking, when I was eating. Sometimes you eat and watch like a TV show. You know, if you want to pass it, you want to let go of a few things and start because we don't like we I don't have the time because I have a baby. Now, if you don't have a baby, I mean, you should be fine, I think. But if I have a baby, that you have to use the time the most, I would say use the time better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
if you have to. That's the only thing I can say though.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you're saying. And especially when you don't have a lot of time, that's when we start to appreciate time and then we start to be very intentional with how we spend it and we start to be creative. Like you mentioned, like you would be cooking and listening to it or listening to the videos and just watching them over and over. And so yeah, we just start to be more creative and figure out a way of how what can I do with the time that I have, right? And I think sometimes people get stuck on going like I don't have time to study versus like trying to just figure out even if you just squeeze in 2 hours or just 1 hour every day, it really adds up. And then before you know it, 6 months in, you're like almost there, you're almost ready. And so no, it's I totally agree with what you said. Now I gotta say though, so most times you functioned on 5 hours of sleep and then you would get like a 20-minute nap during the day. Did you feel like that affected your learning? Did you tend to make more mistakes or were you still like sharp and
So
good?
yeah, that's a good question. So when I was in college, so Drexel is like quarters. It's not semesters.
Mm,
And I took the BSMS, so I did my master's and my bachelor's at the same time.
whoa.
So it was like 21 credits per quarter, pretty much, which is
Wow.
like 3 months. So if really you have to, so in other words, the first week in Drexel it was like quizzes already. The third week was midterms. So that's that fast it goes. So I forgot about all that. I gotta be honest. I didn't like at that time I was sleeping like 5, 6 hours because you have no time. Then I was like, the only problem that I have is every time I do a problem and I found the problem easy, I don't check the units. And it happened to me in the exam a few times. I have to flag the question and go back to it. I didn't see it because I knew how to do it. I just forget about. So I think that's just to answer to your questions. No, I feel like I was fine with it. There were t like Saturday and Sundays. There was a time I was sleeping more. There's no need to wake up at 4. There's need to sleep the 8 hours because after that I was going to the office and I was studying in the office Saturday and Sundays because I cannot study with the baby how she was running around and everything. So that was the only time. No, I think I was fine. I was feeling tired at the end of the day every day, but as long as I sleep 5 hours, I was fine with it. I wasn't I wasn't, I was able to do the problems to to understand everything. There were times, I gotta be honest, that I couldn't wake up
Mm,
because of why is the reason. As you know, um, baby in daycare is ear infection no
mm,
matter what. So she was having ear infections at the beginning a lot of times, and she was waking up a lot of time at the beginning. So that were the times like again. I said that like this year. Oh my God, this cannot be happening again, right? And then I was like, because she was waking up every day, Kenza, like every day, like
yeah.
3, 4, crying, 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 and
Wow.
and then I mean, she got back to normal after 2 weeks and everything. But in that time, I was like, this cannot be happening again because of course, every time my wife gets my daughter or I get my daughter, it's hard when you when you break your window frame it's and you go back to sleep, it's not the same.
Yeah.
You already stopped the whatever time. It's not gonna be the same. Even if I went to sleep 3 more hours, I was in I was in great shape. So yeah, there were times. that I couldn't make, make it a four. But again, you said this in one of your videos. Never stop putting the time every day. And you said this, I remember. At least if you can't study, read something before you go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was, what is my notes in here? Somewhere in there, I think I have it. So I got my notebook. Because you also said if you don't know how to do the problem, or if you do, just write the step-by-step solutions.
Yeah.
So I was reading that every day, like every day. Okay, this. So the days I couldn't do it, I was reading that. So and before going to sleep. So always do something. Like if you cannot do problems, one day, just read. If you cannot read, do problems. Or if you cannot read or do problems, watch videos because I bet you have at least
Yeah.
an hour to like maybe during lunchtime or whatever to watch videos. And your videos are 5 minutes. So I put everything in favorites and then go and watch, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say, do something. It's like when you are at work and no one has anything to help out. Just do something else. Maybe go to the details folder and make the details look better or something. Like that's me at work. Like if they don't have anything for me at the beginning, of course, I was trying to do something, even details, make the details better, set the detail sheets here and there. You're always gonna find something. You have to find a way. And I learned that not the hard way, but I understood that my life at college was busy with 21 credits per quarter. I was like, I don't think it's gonna be hard because I was used to it. Um, and yeah, when I was in college, it was no life whatsoever, no life.
Yeah. Now, did you during those 2 weeks, during those 2 weeks when she was waking up a lot, did you stop studying or were you actually reviewing your notes?
Was reviewing my notes. That was the
Okay.
time. The t notes or videos or like I was like, if I stopped doing something. And that was Monday through Friday though, because
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't do the study in the morning. But Saturday and Sunday I was going to the office to study.
Right.
So I was in the office from 9 to 5 pretty much. That was when I scheduled the exam. When I scheduled the exam, that was when I started like doing fully. And people, you said it, and people don't realize when you schedule the exam, you'd be like, oh my God, this is for real. No, we have to make sure okay, I have to be done with this. I'm gonna do my practice exam this day, then the other one this day, and this, and this. And that's what I was doing. And yeah, but I was reading my notes. I was making sure I know everything that I could before I was taking you know, your practice exams and the other ones I have in here. So that's, that's why the notes are very important because
Mm-hmm.
they can they can help you to um, I will say to keep you around and don't forget what you've learned because you can easily forget things. Like there's so many like people don't realize how many concepts and how many the FE has a lot of concepts. The FE like dynamics, like the dynamics, the dynamics guys stick to my head because I actually drew even like the figures. Okay, scenario one, when this hits
Mm-hmm.
this is what happens. Like I was looking at the my figures and I was like, okay, this is helpful. Like for the materials section, your materials, I actually wrote everything when you were doing giving the lecture. I was writing down everything and draw that thing, the figure with the slope, which is the, young modulus and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, things like that you easily forget because you don't review that because that's not problems. There are conceptual questions that you're gonna see in the FE exam. So yeah, so you have to do the best you can do. You have to do the best version of you of course.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So much concepts that we gotta learn for the FE exam, and then sometimes you get there and you're like, ah, they didn't ask me like half of it, or not half of it, but um, you expect certain questions and then they don't show up on the FE exam. But yeah, it's a lot, and it can be challenging and overwhelming to remember all of it, and that's why reviewing is so important. Um, okay, so I totally could relate to earlier when you said, um, if you have to wake up at 4 a.m. and then your baby wakes up, you know, and she interrupts your sleep, it is so hard to wake up at 4. And that moment, like I can 100% relate with you on that one, because I've actually shifted my schedule as well recently. I used to work at night or a little bit before we put her down, and he was just not working for me. And I was like, I gotta change my schedule. I'm a morning person, and I actually wake up at 4:30, 4 a.m. every day. Same schedule. But there was a time where she was teething, and you know what that's like. And so she was
Hmm.
waking up so much at night. And every time they have something, and then they wake up for, those reasons, or she's hungry, or because she's still 14 months, so she still sometimes needs to feed at night. Um, and so if she wakes me up, like you said, even 3 hours or 4 hours before I wake up,
Yeah,
it's done.
it's
It's
done.
just
Yeah, it's
my
done. It's
alarm
can't.
comes.
Yeah,
I just can't. My alarm comes, and I'm like, nope, not today, right? And yeah, and it can be such a challenge. So I can relate to this, and if somebody's gonna do this schedule, um, the recommendation for the nap is so important. I actually take almost every day a nap. When she's napping, I take a quick nap as well, because that's the only way to keep going. Because I also get, you know, the ideal time. I always tell my husband, I'm like, "Ah, today I'm gonna go to bed at 9:30." Almost never happens, because it's
no,
like
never.
you want like that hour to unwind or do something for yourself, and then it turns into 10:30, 11, and so the nap really helps to just kind of reset the day and just give you a little bit more energy. Um, I feel like sometimes I just drink a lot of coffee and then it just doesn't work sometimes. Like I need the nap. Like my body is over
Yeah.
caffeinated, but I'm still like super tired. So but yeah, no, I totally get this. It's funny. I have a similar schedule as this. Now, I want to ask you this. What drives you? What makes you wake up every single day at 4 a.m. and study and do all this stuff?
So told my wife this. I like when I went to college and I to become a civil engineer. I was my dream was to have my PE license. It's like having the so it's like reaching to the top without without finishing your career. When I say to the top, it's like to the top of the little mountain because then you have to keep climbing. That's the first thing you need to actually be, I'm not saying everyone needs this, but this is more personal than anything else. So I made my choice that I have to get it. So that to answer to your question is my daughter. Um,
Mm,
my daughter actually, I want to do it because of her. That's the first thing. I want to do it because of my wife and my family, my mom, dad, sister, everyone that actually helped me during college, um, because it's hard. And also I remind myself that I was studying a lot during college. Why not now? That
mm,
this is important to you. It's not like you're done with college and it's over now. This is also part of your career that I chose. And the last thing is, and I think I would say last thing, but it's I would say it's the first thing professional is my boss asking me to get my PE. So that's it's funny because I was gonna do it in 2022, but I couldn't, and they asked me last year, and I was like, don't worry about it. By next year, I'll get it. So I told him I'm gonna get it before July 2025, and I was told my wife, listen. I want to schedule this for November. I have to pass this because if I don't pass this, I have to wait 3 more months, and then it won't add up. Like so, at least I told you I have to pass it this year. Next year I take the PE. Uh, let's see if I fail the FE. That's fine. I can take it again before July. But I mean, I'm not trying to fail the PE. Trying to pass it, but then my
Yeah.
schedule was like I have to pass it before this year. Like there was the time. I told her like I have to. It's like when the construction manager they do the schedule for the projects and I have to meet this deadline. If I don't do it, then everything will be like
Yeah.
postponed. So I was like, when I took the exam, I was like, shoot, this is the time. Like this is I was like, this is the shot. I have to get it. And it was funny, you know why, Kenza? And I was telling this to my wife. I hope I don't get blocked in the exam because it happened to me two times during college when I was so nervous. One time I took two classes. Midterm was 45%. Final was 45%. Homework was 10%. I was like, I got blocked. I didn't know anything the first 30 minutes. Because of course, like the
Wow.
45% was like a lot. Like I was like, if I fail this, I'm done. Like
Yeah, it is.
even if you pass your midterm, guess
Yeah.
what happened in the final? If you screwed this, I was like, shoot. And then out of nowhere, everything comes to my head, and I was doing the problems. I passed both classes with good grades, and but when I was in the FE, I was like, what is this? Flag this question. What is this? Flag. I flagged like maybe 10 questions at the beginning.
Okay.
When I got warmed out, I came
Yeah.
back. I was like, this is easy. Like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about? Like, I would say people like, just breathe. Like,
Yeah.
if you study, if you went through this course, you should be fine. Just, just if you have to fly, just fly and keep going. So that was, it was, I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen again because it's on the back of your head. I cannot fail this. It's gonna happen. Like, and then you forget about it during the exam, and then you start, like, okay, this is easy. Boom, 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 boom. So, and then when I finished, I told you, I was like, it felt like I passed when you took the final in one of the classes, and you passed.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt when I leave the building. So,
Yeah. That's awesome. And then you had a rough start too.
right, I was
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was. Oh my God, it's not gonna happen to me. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy, but it happened to me before. I think I'm gonna get used to it for my PE. I think the PE is only 80 questions and more
Yeah.
time. I hope
Yeah.
I hope that helps. But
Yeah.
oh, I hope. If not, I'll figure it out. So
Yeah. That's great. You're planning ahead. You're like preparing for it mentally. You're like,
yeah,
it's gonna happen. I'm just gonna accept it.
yeah, right,
I'll just breathe through it and then I'll get through it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, no, no, yeah, I think, the pressure and it can really get to you in the exam and then you just look at a problem and you're like, I've never seen this before. And then you go and then you come back and you're like, what? This is so easy. No,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It happens. It happened to me as well. I had to flag the first couple questions, and I was like, just keep going, keep. I was super nervous too, and then I was like, I'm gonna find something super, super easy, and then that kind of helped me to like, and then I was able to go back to those questions.
right.
So, great move there. Really, you handled it, I think, really well. That you were able to get out of it quick. And so, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Okay. I mean, it's you got a pretty impressive journey, and the fact that you got your master's, and I'm still kind of thinking about that too. You mentioned you dropped it in the the beginning of the interview, and then I'm still like a little bit shocked here that you actually were able to graduate with a bachelor's and master's at the same time. You got them. I didn't even think that was like something you could do. It was like possible, and in a quarter system. So I actually
Yeah,
went to UCLA for a couple semesters, and it was a quarter system, and it was
It's crazy.
oh, it was like
Intense.
oh, it's like I've never experienced something like that in my life because before it was semester and then I afterwards I went to another university which was semester. But like the quarter system, like you said, you get in and then that first week it's like quizzes and before you know it midterms, before you know it the finals and you're like, whoa, I'm just barely processing this
Yeah.
stuff. Can we slow down?
Yeah.
Yeah, versus like the semester, the first week you're just getting to know your professors and like things are going like super
No,
slow.
they don't even care about knowing each other. They just care about doing the exams and everything.
Yeah,
Uh, it's tough. It was tough because
yeah, I bet. And then you
um
did that with masters. I mean, I want again, this is pretty impressive. Never heard somebody do that before. Walk us through it a little bit. I want to
so
actually, yeah.
so Drexel University has this BSMS program. So if you do your bachelor's and you have a great GPA, good GPA, you can actually jump into the master program without paying anything extra. So
Oh, okay.
Drexel give you you can take up to 21 credits, right, per quarters. That's you pay the year of tuition and you got 21 credits to take. So you have to pretty much fit everything in those in 2 years, and then that's what I did. I was taking a lot of classes, um, pretty much. I have my schedule somewhere in here. I was trying to find it, but that was it. It was tough. It was not life. Uh, the good thing about this, like most of my friends did it, so we were all
Mm,
together in that. So we were like, studying late. We were, playing around late because of course you have to have time to study and
yeah.
time to play. So I think that helped me a lot was like we were all doing it
Mm,
and like let's do it, man. Like it's free. That's how we think about it. It's free. Dude, if we do this later, it's gonna cost 80K or something. Let's do it
yeah,
now. Let's do it
yeah.
now and get done with this. And I was like, man, should we do this? I said, yeah. So what happened with the master at Drexel is that you cannot have C's for master classes.
Mm,
So or they drop you off. Uh, it was tough. It was tougher because it's master class. When you get in, you're like a young kid with this old guy. Not old guys, but they're like older than
right,
you. I was like, my God,
right.
this guy knows more than me because he's actually coming here. I was like, dude, like, oh, we gotta do it, man. Like, we gotta do it. And also, I'm very friendly guy. So one of my teaching assistant, I got to know him a lot, and he was doing PhD at that time, and he's a good friend of mine. Like we talk, each other maybe like every week or every 2 weeks, and it was like, yeah, man, do it, man. Like, and he was
Mm,
one of the person that was helping me in the craziest classes because I took structural classes. I took my master was in geotech, so
mm,
he was helping me not a lot, but he was saying like, man, like this is not don't complicate yourself. Like if you don't understand something, just come to me. I'll give you the material and you can read about it. So in other words, it's like I always say something like if you want to do it, you can do it. If you have your friends around it, you can also do it. So I have the support
mm,
of my friends, my family, my girlfriend that was my wife that is my
mhm.
wife now, and that was it. Like I was just studying. That was my full time job at that time. So nothing else to do. And believe it or not, the BSMS is more intellectual. It's more common than anything.
Mm,
So a lot
okay,
of people do that at Drexel.
okay, okay,
So
awesome. All right, great. Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, let's talk a little bit about study material. So you mentioned that you took our bundle course, the
Mhm.
morning, afternoon course. You had statics, the practice exams. Was there anything else that you used besides that? That was it.
And the books you recommended on
Mm-hmm.
the net on the your website. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can show some books though, but yeah, that was it. Pretty much what you said. I follow everything from A to Z though. I was like, I need to, because were passing, so I guess
Yeah.
that's the key.
Got you. You trusted that. You're like, look, if these, students are doing it, so can I.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen your interviews with other students and be like it's just about time to get this. So
Yeah.
I wasn't accelerating my process. I was waiting for it. So I
Mm.
would say people don't accelerate things. Just I scheduled the exam when I was done with all three sections: statics, morning, and afternoon. When I scheduled the exam, I so it was like 3 months, right? So I told my wife this it's gonna be a long time. Um, 3 or 4 months. I don't remember how I'm gonna do this. I'm going to redo all the problems that Kenza did. That's what I
Whoa.
did. Redo all of them. There were problems that it took me a while to understand and it took a while to do. Actually, the problems you actually have, the FE are more simpler than those for people
Interesting.
because you do like three steps in one. And the FE gives you like this, you already I know
Right.
how to calculate it, but they already give it to you, so you have to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. I was like, I want to do all cancer problems again, and guess what? I want to do the practice exam. So I was doing the practice exams a month and a half, like the first one, a month and a half before the actual exam,
Mm.
because I was planning to do it that time, so it can be fresh on me. So I
Yeah.
did that. I saw the mistakes. I actually read the solutions and everything. And from the practice exam, including yours, I think I scored more than 70%.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I think I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I'm like, the conceptual exam that you have, I think I have like 45,
Yeah.
and that one was tougher.
Yeah.
But actually, I PDF everything. I was reading like the solutions in case
Yeah.
something comes out. But um, and then I was telling my wife, I'm ready. Like a day before, I was just playing with my daughter. I woke up next day. I would tell people, just have a big meal in the beginning. I have like steak, eggs,
That's good.
because because you're gonna you don't want to get hungry in the exam. You're gonna
Yeah.
and then I brought two boiled eggs, in the break, so I ate that. So I was fine with my with my
Yeah.
with food and everything. So yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just it's I will say this: when you schedule the exam, then you know it's real.
Yeah.
Before that, my wife said, schedule this time. I don't want to do it. I want to finish everything.
Mm.
It, because when you finish when I told her when I'm done with the material, that means I should be good now. I just gonna be practice exam. And then that's what happened. It's just sometimes people don't do it that way. They just, but I know. I told her, hey, listen, I don't want to say something wrong, but you never know what's gonna happen with the baby during the night. So that time, even though it's a 3 month, I think I scheduled it on July or I think it was right after my review with my boss. I did it right away. It was like, a little bit of time. And then oh yeah, a little bit of time. I remember now. And I told her, let's take the Thanksgiving week off. I'm gonna do it on Monday and take that week off. So I don't want to think about it. And I think about anything.
Mm.
I took it that week, and yeah, and then like I would say, yeah, it's just time. Like don't force anything. Just be you, and then I mean, I will say this: you know more yourself than anyone else. So if this person did it in 2 months, that doesn't mean you're gonna do it in 2 months. You
Yep.
you can do it in 4 months, 6 months, but guess what? The result's gonna be the same. So don't force it. Just be
Yeah.
you, because things happen. Everyone has his own issues, his schedule, his own problems. I don't know, but just be you. Just be you.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing I was gonna say, in one of your interviews, one of your students said something about read the solution, no solution, I'm sorry. the oh my God, the formula, the handbook. So guess what? That works. You know why? Because when I was doing the exam, I saw a lot of like people searching. Guess what? I know where the question was.
Yeah.
I just went to, I didn't know the page, but I know I always is in this, I was scrolling
Yeah.
down. So I didn't have to type and see, oh,
Yeah.
what equation's gonna pop up and see which one. Okay. No.
Yeah.
So go through that. If you want to print the PDF, just get to know everything because
Yeah.
the more you know where things are, it's gonna be smooth. It's smooth, the process will be smoother, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a lot faster. I don't like their search box because when you search it, you get all these
It's
things
like
like
Windows 98 or something. It's old. Yeah.
yeah, and then you're like, well, which of these? And so you have to click all of them versus when
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
a lot of people, when you search, you just control F. And so it shows you right away the equation. And if it's not the right thing, you just keep pressing till you get to the right thing versus like, yeah, anyways. But it's, when I first took the FE, I got in there that like, I was a little bit, took me time to get used to the format. I'm like, whoa, this looks a bit, different. How do I search into this? That's why like I tell people so that they get used to that, but it's even better to just kind of have an idea of where it is
Yeah. Yeah.
because you go way faster, and I'm
Of course.
sure there were some equations where you didn't even have to look because you're like, yep, I know this already because we went through it so many times in the course that you were just like
Yeah.
going and you're like, yep,
Yeah.
right.
You so many
Yeah,
tips. Like
yeah,
so many tips. Even with the calculator. So many tips.
yeah.
Like it worth every penny is worth it. Like is I don't know, I cannot describe how helpful was your course and yourself. I gotta be honest, like people like you is actually I was telling this to my wife. It's hard for a person to teach people in the way you do it. It's hard because what? When I was in college, the professor would just write in the board, make everything complicated. I don't know for what reason, but you explain things. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. You might don't stick to your head right away, but guess what? You can replay and you're gonna stick to your head. So it's easy. Like I would say this to people, like don't get frustrated if you finish the morning session and the afternoon session, but you be like, oh shoot, I forget things. Yeah, because you are processing, your brain is
Hmm.
digesting everything. Rewatch it again. You're gonna stick. If I rewatch your thing 3 times, believe it
Wow.
or not, because during my eating or doing here, because there's one time. This is specifically the centroids about the x-axis, the centroidal, or like there were three. You can do it in 3 different ways, depending on the questions. I was confused,
Hmm.
but it was something in the wording in the question that made the difference. Um, because you have to use the same equation, but the origin was different. So when you watch it the first time, you say, "Oh, this is easy." Guess what? You do the problem, it's wrong. It was like,
Well,
what is this? And then, oh, this because of this, and then
yeah,
you have to rewatch it like again. So
yeah.
so don't get frustrated, people. Just just keep working, and like it's gonna happen. Listen, it's gonna happen.
That's great. And thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. And I'm so glad you found our courses helpful. Um, now, what would you say some of the things that you really liked about our courses that you feel like you really helped you pass your FE exam?
To be honest, the 5 minutes per video or 2 minutes, that thing is a
Mm.
killer. Like no one can do that. Like no one. Like I don't know if when I took taking the PE course, it's gonna be the same. But that beats everyone. Like everyone. Can you imagine you sitting for 2, 3 hours for a lecture?
Oh,
Guess what? Guess what? When I was in college, I wasn't paying attention the whole 2 hours.
yeah.
Probably like to an hour, and the other hour I was like trying to figure it out what the first hour was about, and then
Yeah.
take photos of the board at the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go home. It's like what the hell I was talking about here, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
so that 2 hours translate
Yeah.
to 5 hours because you have to put
Mhm.
more time to understand
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
that's why sometimes. is people don't understand this, but like the way you do it, like if you have to rewatch it, at least you know where the video is. You don't have to go to the 2 hours lecture and be like, oh my God, was that like the 45 minutes or the hour? And then you spend 10 minutes looking for something that's 5 minutes. So I think
Yeah.
that's a killer, and I love that like so much, and the way that the comments, I would say people see the comments because people that are actually your students, they talk in the comments and they see things in there. They actually they actually solve it different than you are, and that actually can. There was one or two problems that the way you solve it, I didn't get it, and someone else did it, and to me it was easier. So I would say like read the comments. If you're not sure about or you don't understand this, you might don't understand A, but you might do B. Then do
Mm-hmm.
do the B way if that makes sense for you and it's gonna
Yep.
work though. So don't stick like like understand how to do it. Don't memorize how to do it. I will say
Oh,
this.
that's a big one.
Yep.
That's a really big one. I'm gonna use that 'cause you. I love how you said it. I think a lot of people, they just really focus on just memorizing how to do
Hmm.
it instead of understanding it. And if one, because if you understand it, you don't have to make sure that you remember it. It just sticks. You're gonna
It
remember it
sticks to your
forever.
head.
That's it.
It happened with the foci and the other stuff,
Yeah.
directrix. You at the beginning you were like, just guys, draw this. It's gonna be easy. I was like, I don't know how to draw that. Like, how can I do that? And I was like, I was watching the video when I was eating. I was like, wait, this doesn't look. This is easy though.
Yeah.
When I draw that, oh my God, this is the directrix is the line here. The
Yeah.
foci is before this point is this. So you
Yeah.
see everything in the picture. So understand it will. If you understand it, believe it or not, you're gonna see everything. When you see the question, you might see, holy cow, this question is hard. But when you put everything in paper, it's gonna be easy. You're gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, this is the way. And that's why it took me a little bit of time because I was making sure I understand. When you understand, it will be easier to actually read through your notes and everything. I think my notes are good. They're good though, and I'm gonna use that for the PE too. So
Yeah.
um,
That's great. Okay, I have two comments. I interviewed a student about the PE. I don't remember if it was Andre or Andres. I think it was
it was
Andres.
Andres. Yeah, yeah.
And he talks about how the course that he got for the PE, it was, I think, 2 or 3 hours lecture, and he said, he exactly said what you said. Like, if he wanted to remember something that the professor said, it would take him so much time to find it in that 2 hour lecture. And so what he started doing, is that he would, as the professor going through the lecture notes, he would write timestamps on the paper so that way he can remember where he said what and which.
Interesting.
So that's something that, you can use. And then, of course, the students that are watching this, if they're using other courses where they have those lectures, they can use this tip. I think that it's a very helpful tip, so that way you don't have to waste time going through that. The other thing I want to mention, I saw today, a quote I read, where it says, if you want to learn something, you can read it, but if you want to understand something, you should write it. And I was like, that is so true. And that's exactly what you said. You can
Yep.
sit there and watch as many lectures as you can, or, read the problems or book. But then if you don't solve it and do it and write it and try to analyze it yourself, you're not going to understand it. So I thought that was a really powerful quote. But yeah, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Let's see. We talked about the schedule. We talked about a little bit about the resources. Okay. Was there any study tips that you found really helpful? Like, did you study? Was there something that you did when you were studying and trying to learn the material that you feel like people could find helpful?
Um, again, I would say like write the step by step. Even though there is easy, but you know there's so many. One thing that I will say that it could like help people is like if you know. you don't know something that, or they don't get, they just don't get it. I would say just to let it be. Don't don't watch it in the moment. Write it down, and then after a week or something, after you read it and read it, go back, and you're gonna make more sense. It happened to me with the slopes. There are so many ways to do slopes, like tangent to the circle, like parabola, like perpendicular to this, the here and there. Like every time, like that was at the beginning. Like when I was reading every single, I was like, is this the way? Like, is this the same equation? No. You probably have
Mm,
to draw a picture, and see like these lines go like this. The circle
mm-hmm.
is here, and also there were so many other things like dynamics. I told you about it. Like I just like if for you it's hard to understand. I don't think it's that hard. It's just you have to put it together in paper and then start thinking about it. Like it's like so that dynamics, like the kinetic energy and the friction and whatnot. There was one problem that you have about the car driving in the radius or something. Is you know there were so many like in the comments they share videos too, but like try to put the picture, like try to understand, like draw something. Like it's like when you have you oh my car is in the backyard. Yeah, but the backyard can be this. If you draw it, you're gonna see it. That's what I was doing. Like you might don't understand it right away, but you draw the picture and then you come back to it later and be like, oh, this makes sense. I think. Oh, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing this because what happened when you memorize it, it's gonna even if the question asks you for this and it's slightly different. You're gonna do this that whatever you did in the original question, and you're gonna get it wrong because it happened to me. It happened with the car when that was I think you have to calculate the acceleration and you said the t is zero, but what about if the car is not in the slope? You know, what
Mm,
about the car is like this? Then I got stuck. I was like, what the hell is this now? Yeah, draw a picture. You have to understand like there's no friction, there are,
yeah,
you know, things like that. So I would say draw a picture, and if you don't know how to do it, it's fine. You're gonna get there.
yeah,
Don't get frustrated because what happened is if you get frustrated, you're gonna be like, oh, if I cannot do this, then I cannot do the other stuff. No, man. Like people that have been taking your classes, they're gonna be successful no matter what. No matter when you listen to this, no matter like how many times you listen to this, you're gonna pass the FE. So it's just time. Don't force it. If you have to study for 2 years, listen, man, you're gonna pass it. Like sometimes you want to accelerate. Oh, I want to get it done. Don't like just study, man. Just be you. Don't not because this guy took it in 1 year, you can do it in 1 year. No, you might do it in 6 months or in 2 years. Like at the end of the day, like people don't ask you how many times you fail. People ask you, you have the PE
mm,
or FE. Yeah, man, like that's the whole people don't ask you how much you studied. People ask you if you have it or not. That's it. So
yeah.
don't get frustrated about it. That's what I will say to everyone who's listening to this.
Love that. Um, Yeah, very powerful. I agree 100%. Now, Ron, let's talk a little bit about the FE exam. And I think you told us a little bit about your experience. So at the beginning, you were nervous because you couldn't you couldn't solve the first couple problems. You kept flagging it. Um, After that, like, what was your experience with the FE? Did you find the questions were fair? Were they hard? Did you finish the exam on time? What was your time management? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
So yeah, so I was fine with the time. I then I just want to say this. The first session was I think was wonderful. I think the questions that are in the FE are not different than the question. No, I would say not different. I would say the concepts that they have in the FE is the same thing that you solve or do in the course. Nothing is different. Nothing is harder. Nothing
Mm.
is I don't think it's too complicated if you know by heart your course. I mean, like if you went through the course, you know how to solve this, this, and this. Because what happened is, Kenza, if you do the problem for one of your courses, and that happened to me, and I went back to it like I don't know, 2 weeks from now, you forget about it.
Yeah.
And that, oh, you know what? I forgot to do to share something with you, but I do it after I answer your question. So what happened is, no, I will say the FE was fair. There were some questions that yeah, you might need more time, but guess what? I didn't have the time. If I had 20 more minutes, I would have done those 5 or 6 problems that I guessed them. Like I guess I were like 10 questions, but those side they were like, oh, you have to calculate this. Oh, you know what, man? Like I don't have time. Like I just pick one letter for everything. I didn't know. Boom, 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 boom. And I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's fair because when I was in the practice exam, it happened to me.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I just didn't have the time. I just, just try to solve things that you know.
Yep.
If you don't know, leave it at the end. If you don't know, answer something. And I will say that that's it. And you mentioned that so many times. Get faster, guys. So sometimes you can solve the question. It's like in like 10 seconds, to be honest. Put
Yeah.
everything in the calculator and that's it. Go to the next one. And do you think this one is going to take more time? Leave it at the end. Just because you don't know if it's going to take more time than you think you're going to do it. Um, I will say this, just get better. Just get better, man. Like, not better, get faster.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, Ron, I have I think two more questions for you. How did passing the FE affected your life?
I think the FE, it gave me, um, I will say, like, I gotta be honest, like, I set my mindset to get the PE, so the FE is just a step closer for the PE. I think it's like an achievement of my real goal, which is the PE. I was like, it just keep you happy, I guess, keep you motivated because you are closer to your goal, and it keeps me like, man, if you did this in 1 year, like you can do this in 4 months, man. Like that's me thinking like I can get this. I'm planning to do the P in April, um, so it keeps me like rolling, like because I want to get done with this. So it's
Yeah.
just giving like more motivation to finish my goal and not to postpone it. That I will
Mm,
say that.
that's great. Yeah, no, I get it. Because your end goal is basically passing the P. So this is like, yeah, it's great that it passed, but we're not done yet. We gotta keep
Right,
going.
right. That's
Um,
how I feel. Like
yeah,
I was
yeah,
happy, but I'm not that happy because I know my goal is the PE. I
yeah,
don't get me wrong. I was happy I passed it because I need this to get the PE.
right.
But my I think I'm gonna cry when I get my. I don't know what's gonna happen when that happens, but it's gonna be like a big, big, big achievement for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you decided which PE to take?
I think it's water resources.
Okay, okay.
Yep,
Is it related to the work that you do?
yep.
Okay, that's great. Okay. All right, last question. Ron, if a student comes up to you and asks you to list three things that really helped you pass your FE exam, what would you say to them?
Three things. So the first thing I will say is, um, so my boss asked me for my PE license last year. I was like, I'm working on it. I told him that. He told me, well, I will give you a promotion to a project engineer until you get your PE license. He told me like, right, you're good and everything, but I wanna push you to get it. He told me that. So okay. So I PDF that message. I and I plot it and I put it right next to my monitor. Like keep so first of all, keep something that motivates you to get it.
Hmm.
So I have my daughter here, right here. I got my wife. in my graduation day, I have my two diplomas in there, and I have my boss asking me for my PE. So make sure if you want to work in any like in any space, make sure you see those every day, because what's going to happen is like, oh shoot, I'm not done yet. You know, I'm not done
Yeah.
yet. So it's gonna be in your head, I'm not done yet. So that keeps you motivated. Um, Second thing is like, if you think you don't have time to do things, or if by any chance when you study and something happens, guess what? You're not alone. People have the same situation, so don't give up. Don't give up. Like, try to remember the nights that you spent in college to pass and get your degree. If that doesn't get you, nothing else is gonna get you, because you didn't go through college, you know,
Yeah.
not sleeping well, trying to get things done and everything, just to not get it if you want to get it though, because some people decide not to get it. And, everyone has their own choices,
Right.
but that's if you want to get it. And then number three is just like enjoy the journey, man. Like just enjoy, just like just enjoy and spend time with your family. It's not about studying. Just spend time. Like for instance, myself, I wake up at 4. At 6, I take care of the baby for daycare. At 6, at 7:30 or 8, walks my dogs. So I have two dogs though, that I have to walk them out every day. That kind of breathe, I thinks about things, and you know, um, play. If you want to play, personally, I'm a big gamer. I don't play now because I'm a big gamer, and when I play too much, I get sidetracked by gaming.
Yeah.
So I postpone that. If you're fine with that, then you can do it. But I spend a lot of time with my daughter. Like sometimes I told my wife, you know what, I'm not gonna study today. Let's go out and do something. Because I was saturated during the week, and you want to still remember that people that love you are around. So just have a balance, man. Like just have a balance. So make sure it's gonna take a little bit of time to find it, because you won't get this the first or 2 months of studying. You might get it in the third or fourth month, but
Yeah.
you're gonna get there. So people sometimes, like I say, and I keep saying this, don't force anything. It's gonna happen naturally. It's gonna happen. Like
Mm.
you're gonna remember things. You're gonna remember how to study. You're gonna remember how to do things. You're gonna remember how to do how to multitask. Like doing the problems while I was my baby was walking around, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna read now because I cannot do solve problems or something. And she have a calculator, because every time she see my calculator, she wants to, no, 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 you want to break it. So I gave her another one. So she's here hanging around my office while doing something. She was like, Daddy, Daddy. And so she wants to get mine and say no. So I try to, you want to find situations like that. Just
Yeah.
enjoy the time. Enjoy the journey. Because
Yeah.
if you enjoy it, like, of course you're gonna feel frustrated sometimes, because I did. Oh my gosh, I didn't finish on time. Now, next week is gonna get screwed because I have deadline next week and I won't be able to study. And then what's gonna happen is say, it's okay, listen, man, we have a life. So you'll figure it out during the
Mm.
day. So what happened to me, I was studying more over the weekends, and then that's how it is. So should
Yeah.
balance, balance it. So don't force it, guys. Just, you're gonna get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, love that. Well, Ron, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this interview with me and sharing your story. It's incredible what you have accomplished. I'm so proud of you. Um, and
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for really sharing everything, your schedule, your journey, the events that has happened. And I feel like really through this journey, you've learned how to just go with the flow, be flexible
Hmm.
with whatever hits you after the events that you went through 2022. You kind of just give in
Just,
and you're like, I'm just gonna not force this. And you kept really mentioning that. And I think that is so important because A lot of times we get frustrated, like you said, and it just makes the situation worse because now you're frustrated, you're not feeling good about yourself or about the schedule, and you're not motivated to study. And so now you push it even further. And so then before you know it, it's been a year and you haven't studied. Um, so thank you for reminding us of that. I think it's so important also to spend time with our families and have that connection is so important for us as humans, and it helps us and motivates us to keep going, and reminds us of what's important, right? Like passing the
Hmm.
FE, of course, it's important, but I mean, we can't forget about our families and our kids and
Right, right.
so um, for sure, yeah. You shared, I mean, you've touched on so many points. I think you're gonna help and inspire so many people. And so I just want to really thank you so much for taking the time and coming in here and sharing your story with us today.
Now, thank you, Kenza, and thank you for everything, though. We'll say people like if you're thinking about getting cancer scores, like to me, is cheaper than anything you can find. Is the best. It's cheaper because you want to learn the things you need. You don't play around with this. And then I guess thank you for to your team. They're very very helpful with the everything you got you set up. It feels like yesterday when I saw your first video back in 2020. I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
Before it
Oh
was
man.
so I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm glad actually I subscribed at that time
Oh
because if I
wow.
didn't and I probably didn't see your courses or anything because I subscribed. I think I put the notification or whatever. Um, so just just thank you. You are part of you're doing great for everyone. I guess you're for this our society first of all because you're now helping the mechanical. You're now helping a lot of other engineers to be there. So thank you so much. I think you are part of our journey. You are part of this, and never forget about what you said one time. It was like guys, it's just you know if you need this, just do it. Like you said something like I remember like oh my God, I forget now. But you said something like when you doing the exam or you taking this exam, think about like don't pretty much in other words, I want to paraphrase what you your main idea on what you said. It's like don't forget what you did. It's pretty much like don't forget what you did, don't forget your journey. That's why I mentioned the journey, like because you have done it. If you fail, then you take it again. Like it's like you never. So basically, you message was like you're gonna get there. Don't worry about it. Like
Mm,
you walk, don't run. That was what I took from you. Like
yeah.
relax, walk. Like I always say this: you baby cannot run before you have to walk first and then run. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I say to everyone. Like
Yeah.
just keep with the flow.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. I appreciate it for all the kind words. It really means a lot. I appreciate it. I when I first started this, I never thought I could be helping this many people with their FE exam. It sort of kind of just happened. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Kenza.